Hi, I'm Pete, and this is a tutorial on the UFO Cube. This is a great little puzzle, and I want to make sure that it's clear this is the UFO Cube. This is not a Rubik's UFO puzzle. That's a different puzzle. Now, the UFO Cube has a few different names online if you're looking for it. It's also sold under the name Diamond Tank. And I've also seen it listed as a flat diamond cube. So, and I suspect the UFO name is probably why there's so many different names for this. They don't want to be confused with the Rubik's puzzle. In my case, I'm just going to call this a UFO cube, and that'll be that. This puzzle just turns wonderfully. It was very inexpensive. It's a great little puzzle. Stickers are a little rough, but they're hanging in there. You know, I may have to just put a little spot of glue on some of the edges. If anyone comes across some third-party stickers for this puzzle, I'd really like to know about it. Leave me a comment, because that's the one thing I would like to replace the stickers, and kind of be hard to hand cut all these. Okay, well, one of the neat features of this puzzle is that when you hand it to someone, or even just when you pick it up for the first time, just figuring out how the heck it turns is a big challenge. And as often as not, if I hand this to someone, they hand it back to me scrambled if they get it to turn at all, because it's really hard to tell after a couple of turns how it's supposed to look, you know, in the base state. So I will show you the how to solve this. It's really not hard to solve at all. Really, it looks complicated. It's one of those great puzzles that once you sort of get the idea behind it, it won't be hard at all. Now, to get the most out of this tutorial, it would be very useful if you knew how to solve a Rubik's Cube, but in particular a Rubik's Cube using the layer by layer beginner's technique. So what we're going to do here, we're going to make our bottom cross or plus sign. We're going to put our corners in. We'll put the edges in as a separate step, and then we'll do the edge or permutation orientation first, and then we'll do the corner permutation orientation as the next step. I'm going to go through it all, and I'll put all the algorithms in the notes for this tutorial, so you shouldn't have any trouble following along. And it's good to know the basic, the beginner's method for these, to solve a Rubik's Cube, because it does show up in quite a few of these puzzles. So as we get ready to solve the UFO cube, it's very helpful to take a moment to look at the pieces of the puzzle and how they compare to a regular Rubik's Cube. Now, the color scheme on this, it looks similar, but it's actually different than a Rubik's Cube. But we do have the white on the first layer and the yellow on the last layer. And if you look at the first layer, you'll notice that each edge piece has some white on it. Some of them, it's just a very small strip, but they do all have some white on them, and in fact that's how you know that they belong on the white layer. So if we take a look at the regular Rubik's Cube, we can have our comparison here. You'll see that this edge right here actually has four colors on it. It has a gray and a green on one side and the other, but it does have the white that goes next to the white center, and it has a red that goes next to the red center, and that's how you know that piece belongs there, with the white on one side and the red on the other. The next edge is a little easier. It has a big chunk of white and a big chunk of green. I suppose your color scheme on your puzzle might be different, but you know, there's always going to be one of these pieces with big chunks of color, and another one as well. And then finally another four-color piece where we have a little bit of white, a little bit of blue, and then the other two colors of the adjacent corners. Now, the thing that makes a huge difference with this shape mod is the corners. They're very different from regular Rubik's Cube shape. Most of the corners are trapezoids, so it's this shape right here And you'll see that they're also one color, which makes things a little more complicated, particularly when you get one like this, which belongs in the white layer, but in fact it's all green. And it's actually not as hard to figure it out as it may seem, because you'll already have the edges in place, and since the edges are in place, you'll then have the adjacent color to let you know that that has to be green. Okay, but it's just a whole new way of looking at the pieces. Don't worry about it though, you will get used to it once you solve the puzzle a few times. The strangest corner of all is the gray corner, and again, you recognize it because it has gray, that it goes there because it has gray on the adjacent edges, but it's a triangular corner, and as such it doesn't have obvious orientation, but the orientation is important. It has to be in the correct twist or orientation for the puzzle to be able to be solved. So that is one of the two what I call UFO parities that we can get. The other UFO parity is the result of the fact that this is one corner, but if we flip the puzzle over, you'll notice we have an identical gray triangular corner on the top layer as well. And that is another thing that causes what I call UFO parity. Now I'm just using that term for fun. What it really means, UFO parity, case one, is that this corner, this gray corner, and this other corner are swapped, and they need to be swapped back. So that's one of the UFO parities. The other UFO parity is that the corner is just misoriented and you can't tell, but it does cause symptoms that make it obvious that you have that parity, and we'll definitely be going over that during the solve. So that's it for the pieces. Let's get Scramble going and get started solving the wonderful UFO cube. Now, of course, the other thing is being able to recognize the turns, but again, that's something that it just comes quite quickly as you get used to solving it. Okay, this is one of these things. It's very confusing at first, but once you've worked with it, it's not as confusing, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, really, how many people really can solve something like this if you scramble this thing all up and look at how mixed up and crazy it all is. Okay, that's what makes these little shape mods really fun. Okay, now we know that that's a corner, so we can just go there. Okay, I think I've scrambled that up enough, and now it's time to solve it. So the first step is going to be the bottom cross. So there's the white, and now remember I said that we had just a small strip of white on a couple of the edges and a small strip of color. So this red then tells me that that's the red edge, and our color scheme is the same. It's I don't know, it's a B. Yeah, it's a little different than usual, but it's not that bad. Okay, so there you go. I've lined that. So that edge is there. That's part of our cross. And this is the way we're going to do it. We just have to identify the pieces that belong. So for example, this has white on it and blue. So my strategy then is going to be to look for any piece that has white on it and another color, and then put it as my bottom cross. Okay, so those were the two small pieces, and now I need to find the piece that has orange and white on it. And if you remember, that was a big piece. There it is right there. So we'll just do the same thing as we would normally do to solve the bottom cross. There you go. And now I'm looking for green, and so I need green and white. Well, that's not it. Okay, so green and white. Okay, so if I remember correctly, it had a big, there it is, green and white. It had a big chunk of green and a big chunk of white on it. Okay, so there we go. All right, well, look at that. That's the bottom cross. Now, at this step, we'd normally go to F2L if you were speed cubing or using an advanced method, but instead I'm going to keep the bottom cross up here, and now I'm going to insert the corners using the corner insertion algorithm, the beginner's method. Now this is the easier one to do. You have two grays right there, and so that is the gray triangle. corner right there. So that one's pretty easy. If you remember the algorithm, you put the corner you want to put in over here, you bring the slot down, you turn it, and you bring it up. Now the triangle doesn't have orientation, so we're done right now, or it doesn't have obvious orientation. So now we can move on to the next corner. So this is the orange. So there's the orange right there. It's just an orange trapezoid. Now this does have orientation, so we could try it. I could put the corner here, bring it down, and move it over. And it just so happens that this worked out perfectly, and that is the right corner. Remember, we're not doing the middle layer. Okay, if it didn't work out perfectly, then we would have to orient it, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so here's the white. See, we got two whites, and this is the corner now. Now I can tell that this isn't going to work out, but I'll just show you what it looks like. Okay, whoa, this puzzle turns very, very smoothly, and sometimes it turns just a little too smoothly. So there you go. So that corner isn't oriented correctly, right? But the way to do that then, to orient it, is use the technique. You're going to bring it down and turn it over. Turn it back up, and now put this corner back underneath the corner, bring the side down, and bring it back. Now if it's lined up, then you can go ahead and turn it back, and if it's not lined up, you just move it forward and then start over again. Corners have 3 possible orientations, so at most you have to do that little maneuver twice. Okay, so that one's in place, and now the green's right here, and I'll bring it down. And you can skip this test step if you know that it's misoriented. So in other words, I could see just putting it here, I could see that it was wrong. So what I could have done was just put it right there and just skip that first test insertion, because it really was not necessary. And as you saw, I had to do 2 of those algorithms to get it oriented properly. You'll never have to do more than 2, because the corner only has 3 orientations. Okay, well look at that. We have the bottom layer done. This is exciting. The whole bottom layer is done. So now I'm going to flip the puzzle over, and now we're going to work on the top. And what we're going to do is use the beginner's method to insert the 4 middle layer edges. Now this is a little complicated because some of the pieces are not the normal edge shape. But let's just go around and work our way around. So I have an orange and a green. And so what I need to do is find an edge that has an orange and a green. Now that looks good. Has a little, no, that's red. Okay, so that's not it. So let me see if I can find something with an orange and a green. Well, there's green, there's orange. So that piece belongs in there. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could pop that piece out. But you know what? I'm not going to bother, because I'm just going to go ahead and put the piece that belongs right there in, and then that'll pop the piece out. So what do I have? I have a blue and an orange. There's a blue and an orange right there. So this piece belongs in that edge. Now, the beginner's method for inserting an edge is that you put it over one edge or the other, and you can either insert it to the left like this, or to the right. It doesn't matter. But what you do is you put the color you want over the center that matches it, and then this one, if you're going to the left, then that one has to match the one on the left. So that's the beginner's method setup. And then you go back one, you open it up, you go forward, turn, forward, and then open up the place you started, back, and then put it down. Okay, and that method works either from the left or the right. You just reverse your moves. It's the same method used to put an edge in on the Megamix, and it's really useful to know that. Okay, now remember we were looking for the orange and the green, so that should be around here somewhere. And whoop, there's the orange and the green. So because the green is on the bottom, I'm going to put it here, and so it's also going to be to the left. So it's the same one we just did. Back one, open it up, forward, close it up, forward, open that one, back, and then close it up. There you go. Nice. Now we have a green and a red, and that's green and red, but it's not on either side, so that can't be it. But there's a green and a red. Look at that. We got green and red. Okay, and this one will give us some practice going to the right, and it's exactly the same thing. You just mirror image what we just did. So it's back one. So we're turning the edge up, forward. Whoa, close it, forward, and now we're going to open this side up, put the edge in, and then close it. Okay, pretty neat, huh? So now we have just red and our blue to take care of, and it should be up on top because there's no other place to do it. Now, sometimes what happens is you get the edge that you want and it's upside down. It's in the right slot, but it's upside down. In that case, just take any edge piece on the top, do an insertion, and it'll pop out the piece you want, and then bring the piece back around and put it back in the right side, proper side up, okay? So that's how you deal with that situation. So what we need is a red and a blue, and there's the red and the blue. See, it's got a small amount of blue and a small amount of red, but we know that it goes in there. So this is going to be one to the left. So it's back. Going to open that up, forward, close it, forward, and then open up the one you started on, back, and then close it. Okay, and then put it in. So that's great. Now we have the first two layers done. And now we're going to do our last layer, and we're going to do it just a little bit differently than we would normally do it. And this is where, because of the beginner's method, and also it gives us a chance to fix any UFO parities that come up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to orient the edges. So this is a standard, there's two different algorithms that we use depending on what we have. So this is a line, sorry, not across, a line. This is a standard line. You could also get the dot, and those are handled the same way. The other one you get is the L, and if you put the L down here, it's a different algorithm. But if you put the L so it's on the top, it's the same algorithm as I'm going to show you, except that you have to do it twice. Okay, so I'll put these in the notes as well. So this is the line, so it's just going to be F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, and now we have our top cross. Okay, so that was pretty slick, right? So now that we have a top cross, we deviate just a little bit from the Friedrich method or another method, in that what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do edge orientation. So as a matter of fact, I got an edge orientation skip. Ooh, that's too bad. When you're doing a tutorial, it's too bad. So what I'll do is I'll just continue with the solve, and then I'll show a couple of examples of edge orientation because it's important. But what's happened is all of my edges are nicely oriented. Okay, well that's super. So then the next step is going to be corner permutation, and that is that we have to get the corners into the right positions here. And what we are able to do is we can only cycle 3 of them. Okay, so what that means, for example, here is I could cycle 3 either clockwise or counterclockwise. So if there is a correct corner, we want it in the front right here, but there are no correct corners. So I'm just looking around now to see what I could possibly do to get our corners correct, and I really don't see anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that as my front right corner, and I'm going to cycle these. But you know, since I don't have one corner that's correct, I can actually tell that I have UFO parity. And I have UFO parity because if I cycled these right now, this corner would go here, and that would be correct, and that would be correct, but then I'd have 2 swapped corners. This red one would be here, and the yellow one's there, and they need to swap. And that is the case 1 of UFO parity, where you only have 2 corners that need to be swapped. So because I can see that right away, what the fix for that is, what that means is that this corner and this bottom corner are wrong. They're swapped around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap those two corners, and that will fix the UFO parity issue. Now, I could swap it into, I could just swap it into here, because that's where it belongs, but it really doesn't matter because I'm going to have to do some maneuvering of the puzzle anyway. Actually, I might as well just swap it right in here. It doesn't really matter where you swap it. So I'm going to swap this into here, and then I'm going to swap this one into there, and then it'll break this edge, but we'll fix that. Okay, so I'm going to come up, and that's in. Bring this one around. That's the other one, and bring it down. Now it doesn't look like we did anything because it looks like the same corner, but it actually fixes the parity of the puzzle. Now it did break this one edge, and so I just have to go and have to find where that edge is. There it is right there, and just put that edge in. So over. Okay, so that's a very simple fix. Well, now what you'll find is that you have to do the edge orientation again, and basically resolve the last layer. But now that one UFO parity where the corners couldn't be permuted will be fixed. We might still have one more parity, which is an orientation step. Okay, so now I'm going to resolve the last layer. So now we have the L configuration here. And if you put it this way, it's a different algorithm than what I showed you. If you put it this way, then it's just the same algorithm I showed you last time, and you'll end up with a line. Okay, so either way, doesn't really matter. So this I'm going to use, it's a wing move, the first two layers, F, little f, R, U, R prime, U prime, little f. So I'm moving the first two layers. Okay, so now we have our top plus sign again. And now I'm going to do the edge orientation step that I missed before. And you'll notice that I have this one and this one, so that's not correct. You have to turn it so that there's just one edge that's matched up. You can't have more than one edge matched up. Well, this is great. I get to show you the edge orientation. So now I have the orange is matched on the front, and this is not matched, that's not matched, and that's not matched. That's what we want. So now I'm going to do SUNE, which cycles the edges. I think it cycles it counterclockwise, and I'm going to do it either once or twice until it gets fixed. So the SUNE is R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And we look around, and indeed that set it right. It's possible I might have had to do that twice, which just is simply a shortcut. There is a way to do anti-SUNE, but you need a different setup for it. So doing SUNE once or twice will orient your edges. Perfect. So we have our edges oriented, and now it's time to permute our edges. And you'll notice this time we have one good edge and three that are wrong. But if you see, this one goes there, this one goes there, and that one goes there. So that we know now that that corner is in the correct layer. But what we don't know is if that corner is correctly oriented, and I'll show you why that makes a difference. But let's go ahead and do a counterclockwise cycle of the corners. So you put a good corner in the front right, and then you use the clockwise corner cycle algorithm, and I'll put both of these in the notes. Okay, so I'm doing a clockwise corner rotation, and let's try this. So the clockwise orientation is L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime. Okay, and that's it. And you can actually memorize that the two corner rotations are pretty straightforward. They're mirrors of each other. Well, here we are, and this looks like a very complicated orientation thing to fix, because we have one corner that's misoriented, not two. But actually, it's not that hard to fix at all. What we're going to do is we're going to do our corner orientation on this, and then we're going to turn this corner, which doesn't have an obvious orientation, into position, and we'll keep orienting it until the bottom layer is fixed. And that's the UFO parity number 2. So this is UFO parity number 2. Here we go. So we go down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. And that is that's exactly the one full cycle of the algorithm. You might have to do it twice depending on how the corner was oriented, but you see that this corner is now correctly oriented. The problem is that our bottom layer is messed up. So without moving the bottom layer, just move the top layer until the gray is in place. If you had other corners to orient, of course you'd do them first, but once you have all the other corners oriented, bring the triangular gray corner over the working area and just start orienting it until it's correct. Now remember, you do the algorithm twice. Down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. Now take a look at what you have. Okay, it doesn't, no obvious change, but the bottom is still not right, so we're going to have to do it at least one more time. Down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. And this always works out if you do it correctly. Doing it that way will always get it in one or two moves. And there we go, look at that. The UFO cube is solved. And so the only thing that was not present in that particular solve was the edge orientation step. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do one more solve, and hopefully we'll end up with a more normal edge orientation. And I'll do it, of course, I'll do a little faster solve so that you can see it in action. Well, that's cool. You know, there's some practice, of course, required to get this, you know, be able to recognize the pieces. But these are all the basic steps that you're going to need. Okay, so that's pretty scrambled there. I think that's hopefully scrambled enough. So bottom cross, and so that's the blue right there, and there's the white and orange. Okay, and let's see, there's the red. Oop, I just hit the camera. Sorry about that. And there's the there's the green right there. Oh, yeah, this puzzle really turns so smoothly. It's actually easy sometimes to overturn it. Okay, so there's my bottom cross, and so now I'm going to go around and put the corners in using our standard corner insertion technique. Now you can turn the whole puzzle, or you can turn the just the corner that you're the top layer. Now you quickly learn to recognize when the corners that you're putting in are not oriented beforehand, so you can save a step or two. Actually, that one might have been good, but yeah, it was good to be in. So there's the bottom layer. So now we'll do the edges on the middle layer. And let's see, so this is red and blue. So there's red there, there's blue, so this is going to the right. Okay. And that's right out of the beginner's Rubik's. It's the one they have on the Rubik's website. You can do the cube, I think it's called. And that's the one. They use a bit of non-standard notation in their little booklet, but it actually works. Their method is pretty sound. Okay, and then green, and there's the green and red. No speed cubing, just a relaxing kind of solve. And just a kind of a fun time here. Oh, it's a little slippery. Okay, so there's the first two layers done, And now this is the part that we maybe didn't get quite as good a scramble last time, for our purposes anyway. So there's the line. So it's the same as if you had a dot. It's F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. So now I have the top cross. And I'm going to now rotate this until, and I don't have to because I can see I already have the green there. And so I have to make sure that there are no others that match. If I have two that match, you have to turn it so that one of the other ones doesn't match. So there's only one matching. Or none match. If none match, you just do SUNE once and then try again, right? You just turn it so that none match. If you can't get it so that only one matches. But in this case, it's one matches, so I'll just do SUNE. It's R, U, R prime, U, R, U, 2, R prime. And we'll take a look, and indeed we got it. So I've been getting pretty lucky there. Sometimes you have to do that again. So now my edges are permuted and oriented and permuted. Sorry. And now it's time to do the corners. Now I notice here that I have one good corner. It's the red. Don't worry about the orientation. That means that we don't have the UFO parity number 1. Okay, but so we can go ahead now and cycle these. This one goes here, that one goes there, that one goes there. So front right, so we're going counterclockwise, and the counterclockwise algorithm is U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U, L. And it's kind of hard to tell, but you see now we have our corners all in the right place, and now they just have to be oriented. So the thing to remember is to keep the corner, the gray corner, last, because you're going to use that to fix up things if you happen to have UFO parity number 2. So start here, and then we'll just turn the corners until we get everyone done. Okay. So the now the last time I did this, I talked about the I didn't use the notation for orienting the corner, so this time I'll use the notation, and you have to do this twice. So you're going to put the corner here, and you're going to it's R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. So you do the same 4-move algorithm twice, and you notice we've oriented the corner. Now don't move anything on the bottom, just turn the top layer to the next misoriented corner and do the same thing. R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. Now there's a case where we have to do the whole thing again to turn it one more time. So it's R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. Now it's oriented correctly. We'll move this one into position, and if after you orient this one, if the bottom's messed up, don't freak out, because we have a fix for him. R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. Okay, so that one's correct. The bottom's misoriented. Don't worry about it, because now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this one until the bottom is correct. So it's R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. Okay, so still not correct, but we can do this one more time. R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. I bet you were worried there, weren't you? Okay, so that's it. It's all done. And that was the UFO Cube. Nice little 3x3 shape mod. A lot of fun, and certainly if you learn how to solve this, and it's a very impressive thing to be able to do. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate reading your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. The whole reason I'm doing this tutorial is it's quite a few of my viewers suggested it. So I love to hear from you. All right, well, that's it. Thanks for watching.